everybody. Today is the first video in our series on how to make a gnome. So each series I'm going to show you how I make my bodies and different kind of bodies, how you can what you can use for different noses, what you can use for how to make arms and legs, that sort of thing, different hats. So I will give you different options for every part of the gnome body so that you're not just stuck making one gnome all the time. So the first one that I always make is my sock gnome. And I just take a sock, and I usually get either the black or white socks, kids socks from the Dollar Tree, the men's or lady socks if you want a really big gnome, because they stretch so much that, I mean, you can, this sock right here, this was this. So that's how much that stretches. It might have been a little bigger one because I know I had bigger ones. And then this one here, this was this sock. So let me show you how I get it to this point, and then what we do after that. So you're going to either take a piece of cardboard, which usually I use canning lids. If I don't have that, I will use cardboard. And it's about 2 3/4 inch diameter. And I will take the metal side and put it down in the sock. This is so it has something so it will stand up. And then I take rice. I know there's a huge controversy, and I kind of get tired of hearing about it. And I put my rice in a bag now. I used to not. And this is to weight it down. You can use rocks. You can use those plastic little pebbles. You can use whatever you want. Then I take some stuffing. And first I try to get a little bit in there and stuff it around the bag, so I can kind of camouflage or that noise of the bag if they pick it up. You don't have to use anything to weight it down, but it makes it a lot easier. So if you're selling them, the person is not always trying to, you know, go like this to get it to stand up or whatever. And I'm going to have to get some stuffing because my drawer is a little low. It's pretty much out. So I just kind of stuff it all the way up to the top of the sock. I don't close this until I get ready to put the hat on. So let me take just a quick break because I did not realize I was low on stuffing, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So we need to stuff it a little bit more all the way to the top of the sock. It really depends on the size of the sock you use. Usually his head is not really big because the bigger the head, the bigger your hat's going to be. So I end up leaving this open. So if I have to stuff more or if I have to take it out. And then I just try to make sure that his body looks good, that it's not, you know, one big lump somewhere and someplace else it's kind of indented and it needs a little more. If you want a fat gnome, you're going to really squish down that stuffing. If you want a nice tall one, you're just going to kind of pack it on top of each other and not try to spread it out a lot. So then I take a piece of fabric, and I usually use fleece, and this is about 15 inches by 15, 14. And you're going to take the heel of the sock is usually the face for me because it starts protruding out when you stuff it. So I put it in the middle, and you're going to get some strong, I use crochet thread and I double it so that we can tie this off. So you're going to gather your corners. And I'm just going to check my camera so I make sure you guys are seeing everything. And you're going to grab all your corners. And I usually like a corner in the front. And you're going to pull them all up like this. And these ones that are sticking out, you're going to grab those. So this is all going to get tied together. And this is how I make my basic gnome. And then I try to hang on to it. And I take my thread, and you want it, this is probably 2 yards, maybe a little less. And I double it. And you're going to wrap it. You're going to, from the back, because this is the back. And I have it draped down like this. You're going to take one side and bring it to the back. Wrap the other side. So you have your ends in the back like this. Okay, and this is not going to be seen once you get the beard on and the head. You're going to pull those and tighten it. You're going to look and make sure all of these gathers are in and pulled up, and they're sticking out up here. You don't want them down here, otherwise your gnome is going to fall apart. And then you're going to take, and I do what's called a surgeon's knot. Is I cross my thread and I do 3 times loop, and then I pull it tight, and then I do 1 regular knot. And when I cut this, I usually cut it about 1 inch away, and you can save that because we can use that for something else. That's a good length. Then I take my gathers and I kind of distribute them, pull them if they're kind of loose, if they need to be pulled. And try to see what the front looks like. And then we're going to cut this excess off. If there's a lot of excess, save this, because we can use it for feet, arms sometimes. And so I usually have a scrap bin of fabric. And I don't always, but I try to go there first. And then I usually just cut off the really skinny stuff. So this I will save. And there's our gnome body. Then if it looks like you need to pull, like here, excuse me, this needs to be pulled up to me because it's kind of flatter over here and sticking out over here. So then I would take a needle nose pair of pliers and pull that up, because once you cut it, it's going to be hard to grab it with your fingers. I use needle nose pliers all the time. So now that we have that excess cut off, I can see what his body looks like. And then we're going to cut this off again. And I'm not going to finish this whole gnome because this is going to be in our series. But I do have other videos that I do arms and legs. So if you really want to know how to do that, you can go to my channel. It's Nancy's Crafts. It used to be Nancy's Handcrafted Creations, but I changed it. And it was for tax purposes and stuff like that. So there's our basic gnome body. If I was going to do my nose and a beard, I would make my nose. That's going to be in another video. But if you go to my other videos, I show there about every video how to make my nose. And I use a Jet Set knit nude fabric that's stretched like a swimsuit. And I get it from Joann Fabrics. And it's the nude color. So, and then I would tie my nose on and go to my other video, or there's going to be one coming up. The next one in the series is going to be how to do the noses. And then I would tie that around here, but that's going to be in the next video. So that's our first gnome body. The second one, going to be a styrofoam cone. And I have made these where I haven't used any weight on the bottom, and it stands up fine. But if you think you need to, you could find something that if you had to glue, you could probably put this, glue that on there. You'd have to really glue it on if you had to use E6000 or something. Or just a couple pieces of cardboard, but I don't usually have any, unless it's going to be really top heavy. So you can take a sock, you can get these socks at the Dollar Tree. I don't know if they have it so much in the summer, but if you wear these around your house with carpet, you're going to be sorry. I did that. I had fuzzies all over my carpet. I could not even vacuum them off. I had to go and pick them up, and I hadn't worn it very long. So there is the heel, or the seam on the toe. So you have to make sure that you have that above the bottom of the cone. And then I would just tie this off, and you can make a nose and tie that on. I'm going to show you, I have a video that I already have put out. And I used a styrofoam cone. It's my graduation gnome. And that's a cone. And that is just wrapping fleece around it. So if you want to do the sock, you can do that. If you want to do the fleece, and I show you in the video, the graduation gnome, on how to do this. So what you're going to do to get the pattern for your cone, you're going to have to make sure you have, this has got a seam, and if you're, or a little indentation, if your cone doesn't have like a back seam or whatever, I would just take and make a mark. So you know that's just where you started. And you're going to start on the edge of the fabric where I have that seam, and then I'm just going to roll it and see if I get enough, if I go past that seam. So, and you're going to make sure you have the wrong side facing up, and I'm just going to make sure I'm not going to waste a lot of, okay. So I'm going to cut my edge straight. So when you get your cone, you're going to mark it at the top. And I like the chalk wedge. I have tried to use this pencil, and it doesn't work well enough for me. It doesn't give me the results that the chalk wedge does. So I will mark it as I start rolling it. And I do that all the way until I know I have passed that point. And if you want to go all the way to the edge of the fabric just to be on the safe side, you can do that. So this way you're going to be able to make any size gnome that you want, or any size pattern for a cone. But it's the same thing. You could do for larger cones. So if you wanted to make this into a Christmas tree and you wanted to cover it like this and you didn't want to paint it, that's how you would make your pattern, is just roll it. And then you're going to cut this out, and I would cut it just a little bit bigger. Because if you're making a gnome, the head, the top of the cone is going to get covered up by your hat. Okay? And then you're just going to cut this out. Make sure this edge on the bottom is nice and even and not jagged. If you cut it a little bigger, we can cut it off. So then you're going to take, and I would start right by that indentation, maybe that mark, the seam, and put glue. Make sure you have it so it's long enough. Put glue on the edge of your fabric, and this is wrong side up again. You're going to place that seam. We're going to line that bottom edge of this up with the cone. And I could have used a different color fabric because I got gray matte in this. So now we're going to grab it and we're going to take, and you're using a low temp glue gun. Otherwise you're going to melt your foam. And you're just going to put glue on the edge of that cone. And make sure you get it so it's nice and even. And you can stretch it, so if you might be a little short, if you stretch it as you're wrapping it, you might be okay. But you want to check that before when you're rolling it, that you're going to have enough. So you're just putting that glue on the edge of the bottom of the cone and wrapping that fabric and then pressing it. And then we're almost back to where we started. And now what you're going to do is, I'm going to take a little, well, I'm not going to do it yet. I got to cut this. So I'm going to take and put my fabric. I can see where I started and I can see where I need to come, like, I would say an inch past where you started. And we're just going to cut that straight up. Because if we just keep wrapping it, you're going to end up like this. We don't want that. So you're just going to cut straight up, just like that. And we can trim probably a little bit. You got to be careful at the top of the cone, but that'll get covered up by the hat. Now take and put your glue on this edge of your fabric, because if you put it over here, this might not reach where you put your glue. And I put my glue sticks in the freezer so that it helps with the glue strings. And then you can just roll that just to get it started and then press it down. And you can see it's a little crooked, and I have a little bit here so I can trim that off. And I have a little bit of overhang at the top. So I'm going to cut that even with a cone. And then I'm going to take my glue gun and squirt it in here. And squirt glue all the way around the top of that cone. And then I'm just going to press it. Because when we put the hat on, you don't want that this to all slide down or get pushed. So there's our styrofoam cone. Then this excess you can take, and we're going to cut a circle. So if you make your circle a little bit bigger, then we will cut the excess off. So this way you don't have to worry about making a perfect circle and going through a yard of fabric just to get the right size circle. So then I'm going to take, and I'm going to put glue right close to the edge and on about 1/2 to 2/3 of the cone, bottom of the cone. And then I'm going to put this on my circle. And you're going to kind of center it so you make sure you have enough that is going to come over to the 1/2 or the 1/3 that we didn't do. So now you're going to pull your fabric, your circle back, and do the rest of it right around the edge, and then fill in the rest of that. And when you're using a low temp glue gun, you got to work fast because it will dry on you. And then you can take and go, and I've got my scissors right next to the edge of my cone, and go all the way around and cut that excess off. And what I would do is either get some trim and go around the edge, or we can cut a piece of the fleece and we can use that. So I would start in the back here and put a little bit. And then we can hide that edge. You can use, if you're using other colors in your gnome, you can use some other color of trim. Ribbon is a little hard because the glue is going to seep through the ribbon. You could use, if you're doing a girl, you could do some kind of lace. If you go watch my graduation gnome, I have a, if I have it out before this one, I make a trim. How I do it is I will, let's see, I'll take a piece of, I have to find a piece. Let me see if I can get a piece here. So I just cut my fabric, my fleece on the stretch to get, and I pull it between my thumb and finger, and I get a curly piece, and I twist a couple of these together, and then I glued it on. And it actually looked pretty cute. This one I was able to find trim at Hobby Lobby. So I did it on the bottom and then ran it up the back. Okay, so let's finish this one. And you're just gonna glue that so it covers up that edge, and you're gonna end right where you started. And I gotta cut this a little thinner because it's a little fatter. And that's how I do a styrofoam cone. You could do the nose how I did. I just made my nose. I tied it around the top of the cone. And then this hat I made, it was out of a Jell-O cup. There's the video, so if you go over and watch that. So this is how you can make, use a cone for a gnome. So we have that one. The next one is a bottle, and I already have beans in here, and I have stuffed it so it will stand up. And then, because I didn't know if I was going to put shoes on this one, so I cut a piece of cardboard because the bottom of the bottle is indented. So it's indented like this, and I wanted to put shoes on this one. And this was made out of a bottle gnome. I have this video coming up. I seen this. This is not my idea. I seen it on Facebook. The hat that this lady showed how to make was too freaking easy and cute. So I'm going to show you in a video coming up. You'll have to stay tuned for that one. So with this one, I'm going to take a quick break. Okay, I'm back. So this one, I just used a sock. No, I put some batting. So I just wrapped it in batting. And it doesn't matter where you start. Just put it on the edge of the batting. And this is just because this bottle is kind of indented and it's got grooves and stuff. And then start there. And then you can just put it on the edge of the batting. Got to get a glue stick in there. And you can do a couple of strips along there. And then wrap it, and then just make sure that your bottom of your bottle is even with this batting. You could use fleece. If you have fleece, any kind of scrap fabric that is going to give you some cushion, and it's going to take up, kind of fill in some of those grooves and stuff. Certain bottles I would not use, and I'll show you. If I have one, I might have to dig in my recycle bin. Like these ones, I mean, you could use it. It's pretty flimsy. You would have to probably fill it with like rocks or rice or beans or something, so it wouldn't topple over. But it's pretty it's kind of noisy. So these bottles we get, it's Body Armor, and you can get it, it's a hydration drink, and you can get it at Walmart. I'm not sure where else you can get it, but it's really good actually. It's not carbonated. They have a lot of different flavors. We had drank a lot of it when we had COVID. So now I'm gonna take and put here on the rest of it and just go all the way up. Not quite to the top, because we're gonna cut some of that off. So this is just giving us some cushion, so we kind of have a smoother body for our gnome. And then we can what I'm just gonna do is take some of our thread that we had from our last one. You could use a rubber band, but if you use a rubber band, I would also do string, because those rubber bands can dry out and break over the years. I have rubber bands that I get from the Dollar Tree, the little tiny ones. And I have the colored ones. This is like a rubber band. These here, I don't know what they're made out of, because I can stretch these babies like that, and I can wrap them three times. So I always have some of these because they're great for arms, that kind of thing, small stuff. So there's that. And if we were going to use a sock, and a lot of these socks I get at the Dollar Tree, so you kind of have to watch if you go in there. I always think I look at the whole store about every time I go in. And it was kind of funny, I was at our Dollar Tree the other day, and of course there was a lot of people in there, and there was one cashier, and I don't know how many people were in line, because I was down an aisle and there were people out in front of me that I couldn't see that were in line. And I had a basket full of stuff, and I know people are having a hard time getting people to work, and he was the only guy there. And I said, I can't sit here and wait for 45 minutes or a half an hour, whatever it was going to be. I put my basket down in the aisle and just left. Yeah, that was probably not the right thing to do, but it turned out okay, because I think I went back the next day and my basket was still in the same spot, full of my stuff. I picked it up and bought it. So then we're going to take and we're going to tie this off. We're going to use our scrap thread. Like I said, you can use a rubber band. And I'll just kind of go over a little bit what I did for the other gnome. And the way I did it a little differently than she did. She did not add this part down here. So to me, he almost looks like an Amish. He had a sign, but his sign broke. So he's got glue on him. So he kind of looks like an Amish. But I even made him little suspenders. And this is from the seam of the pants. And I'm not going to tell you how I made his hat, because you're going to have to wait for the video. But it was the same sock. And I did glue his hat on. And so this bottle was big enough for this. But this is very easy hat, so you're going to have to wait, because I'm not going to tell you. And then I just cut that off. And then you can decorate this if you want to do something like this. If you want to make it look like a girl, you can take a bigger piece, like a long rectangular piece of fabric. It's got to be, you know, probably 2.5 times this size, maybe, depends. And you can make a dress. You can give her arms. The nose would get tied around here. Or if you used a wooden bead, you could do a wooden bead. You know, I'm giving away some of my ideas for my noses. So you could do a wooden bead, but these would get glued on after the beard. If you're doing a girl, she's not gonna have a beard, hopefully. Or you can do a half wooden bead, okay? So that's that body. Kind of looks like this. How cute. It's too freaking cute, you guys. And the other one is kind of, it's a sock that's inside here. And I'm going to do a video on this. This is from my circular knitting machine, you guys. I love, 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 love it. And I did get one. I got a Centro. I had so many issues with using yarns. This one, I have not. It doesn't sound real good the first couple of turns when you turn it, but it is awesome. I'm just going to give you a quick peek at it. So hang on and we'll be right back. Okay, so this is my Addy Express knitting machine. It does circular. And I'll show you that in a second. And it does just like a panel, just like a rectangle or whatever. And this is what you turn. And there's a certain way you have to cast on your stitches. And I tried to knit when I was young. My mother is a knitter and a crocheter, and she tried to teach me. I could not get it. So this does all the work for you. You don't, I mean, there's videos on YouTube if you go out and watch for knitting, circular knitting machines. And like I said, this is an Addy Express. So there's a video coming up on this. Let me get you back to the table. And I'm just going to explain. So this is a sock. So this is what it is. But the outer body is what I made. So this is what, this is going to be the hat. And I already closed this end up, so it's like a tube, okay? And I don't have one I haven't gathered up. I will show you the other hats that I made. I know I'm walking away and talking. And the other 2 gnomes that I made. And it goes quick, you guys. I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back. Okay, so this was my first one that I made with my Addy knitting machine. And it turned out fine. But after, I could not get any other yarn to go through. And I know they say some of the yarns are not, the machine does not like it. That may be the Centro, okay? It's S-E-N-T-R-O, circular, or just Centro knitting machine. So I made this, I made his body, and you have to do a sock because you can't get, if you're gonna see your rice or your stuffing or whatever. And then when I got my Addy, and I got it from Amazon, you have to have a sock, and I can show you, this is going to be a hat. So when I got my Addy, I made this one. My husband actually was trying to help me figure out why when you crank it, you have to cast on, and then you do your first couple of rows slow, and there's a spot or two that handle wants to just stop and it doesn't want to move. And you just swear if you move it, you're going to break it. You don't. You just have to get past that. And you can do, like I did on this one, do stripes. And then I just put some stuffing in here. So my husband made this. So if I wanted to, and then I made this one. And they say you should, if you're going to do yarns, you know, switch yarns, you should do the same weight. I didn't. And look how it turned out so cute, you guys. You can't tell me these aren't cute. And so then I had to go to rummage sales yesterday, and I found some yarn, and then I bought some. And this yarn here is this skein, and this is from Walmart. It was like $7. It's Red Heart. So now I lost my my other piece to this. What did I do with it? Okay, give me just a minute. I gotta find the rest of this. Oh, it's over here. Never mind. I'll edit that out. So there's this one. This is the body. So what I did was you have to gather that up, but I'm going to do a video on it. If you want to know how to do this, there's videos on YouTube. And you have to do this, you have to put it in a sock, okay? But this is going to be hat, so I would not make it this long. I've kind of gotten to know how long I want it. And then you just tie this off, or pull it, just like you did here. This one I'm not going to do that, but your thread, you would pull it and it would gather this all together. I will go through that. But with this one, so you have to use a sock, and I did the sock. I did my canning lid, my bag of rice, and my stuffing, and then I leave this open. So this one I've gotten all done, and I would kind of roll the edge up. I would have his beard and his face on, or his nose, I mean his face. And I'm just going to poke this in here so it's not going to get, I don't want to do this one because I'm not sure what color beard I'm going to use. But my nose would be on there, and we could do our half bead if we wanted. It's not going to stay. So you could do that. I'm going to do a video. It probably is going to be a couple weeks before I get to this, but like I said, there are videos out there on how to learn how to do this. I got the Addy. It was $169 for the little one. This is the Express 22 needle. So, and I specifically wanted it to make gnomes. I did have the Centro. It was a 48 needle, so it was a bigger one. And I was trying to make a panel, and then you'd have to sew it together to get your tube. And I couldn't do it. Even when I was trying to do other yarn, it wouldn't do it. Oh, here they are. I'm going to edit that out too. So this was the first thing we made on the Addy. My husband did this. I did the hat. I love it. Love, love, love it. And this was Dollar Tree yarn. My machine didn't have a problem with it. This is a Red Heart yarn. So I'm going to do a fall gnome. And then I have this. This is Walmart, or this is Dollar Tree yarn. And I did this yarn. I can go get it and show you. My machine did this yarn just fine. I'll be right back. People, oh, you can't use that kind of yarn. I didn't have a problem, you guys. I went slow. I mean, I didn't go real slow, but once you get going, and that's the hat I made. How cute is that? I don't have anything to put it on. This is going to be for a bigger gnome. It could be a baby hat. So you can make other things. You just have to go watch the videos. So those are my gnomes. You can use the pool noodles. I don't use the pool noodles a lot. Patty J. Good, she does the pool noodles. So if you want to know how to use those, you can go watch her videos. So we made our sock gnome, and we made our cone, and then we had our bottle. And what I did at Christmas time for this was I cut the bottom of the bottle, and then you can have a tree topper. How cute, you guys. I have one. I could show you. I'll get it and I'll show you. I'll be right back. So these are the bottles that I did. And it was the same bottle as I used today, the body armor. And I cut it out, and I put the batting. I'll do a video on this one too. And wrap the batting, and then just tucked it in. And I used a sweater. And I used the sleeve of a sweater because there's no seam. And then made the hat was also the sleeve of the sweater. So you can put this, if this was my tree, say this was my tree, you could have a gnome tree topper. And this was another one. This was the first one I made. So, and I did this on my Facebook group. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. And I thought, you guys, this is not turning out very good. And he turned out pretty cute. So those are what you can use for gnome bodies. So you can use a pool noodle. I don't really use them a lot. Not hardly ever. A couple of times. So this is the first video in our series for making gnomes. So I'm going to go through noses and arms and feet and all that. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to join my crafting community and click on that subscribe button. And then when you click on the bell, that will notify you each time I upload a new video. But you must have your settings turned on if it's on your phone or your computer or whatever, so you can get those notifications. Computer, I don't know about. The phone, you'd have to have it turned on. Thank you very much. If you have subscribed to my channel, I appreciate it, and thank you guys for supporting me. And I will see you in the next video. Love you guys. Bye-bye.